Hello, good morning and welcome to an exciting morning to talk business. My name is Blyden Lukem and it's Business 360. In today's Business 360, we'll look at the key features beginning from the expectations for the week. We'll look at the economic data and the outlines this week. According to economic data and different perspectives in the morning, the outline has been that of the FOMC meetings that's taking place around the world. The perspective and the persuasion would be what we are looking at. Let's begin from the economic data this week. This week shows that key investors are ready to see what would happen moving forward in the economy. The persuasion and its tendencies will be that investors will also follow through personal income spending, PCE price rise. But in the US, the focus will be on the FOMC meeting minutes and speeches by Fed officials. Investors will also closely follow personal income spending, PCE price index, and second estimate for fourth quarter GDP growth rate. Also, the attention will be taken by fresh PMI manufacturing and services readings for major economies including US, UK, France, Germany, Japan, and African countries. Finally, central banks in South Korea, New Zealand, and Turkey will decide on the course of monetary policies. We'll also be looking at a new outlook from a billionaire who talks about Bitcoin. Billionaire Michael Saylor says that Bitcoin now competes against gold BTC as BTC rises by 47%. The outlook in market perspective and persuasion has been that of positivity for Bitcoin, such that billionaire is giving the outlook. Billionaire and founder of MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, has said cryptocurrency Bitcoin is now competing against a traditional asset, gold. There has always been an argument about the status of cryptocurrencies as a store of value among asset classes, like real estate, bonds, and equities, among other investable assets. Bitcoin has often led the conversation due to its value being the highest among crypto assets and its adoption globally. In a Twitter post on Sunday, Saylor made a case for Bitcoin as a worthy store of value, stating Bitcoin is competing against gold, collectibles, arts, equities, real estate, bonds, and money as a store of value in the 21st century. The comment by Saylor, whose company owns about $3 billion worth of Bitcoin, follows the return on investment that BTC has offered this year when compared to that of gold. We'll also be looking at the conditions with fuel in Nigeria as there are satellite openings. Chairman Satellite Depot has said that fuel price will drop as NNPC reopens satellite depots. The outlook of it has been different for different people, but it's interesting to note that there are anticipation that fuel price will drop. According to the story, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, has reopened the satellite depots for operation. The satellite depot have started operations after 15 months closure for repair works. The repair works on the depot were carried out by the NNPCL subsidiary, NNPCL Pipeline and Marketing Limited. According to the chairman of Satellite Depot, Akin Akrinede, the facility started receiving product on Friday. He said they have instructed depots to sell at 172 naira per litre, though they have started selling to marketers. Since products are now being received, prices will come down to the remaining queues and will disappear this week, he added. Is a story around what's happening in depots in Nigeria, and there are huge concern on one hand, yet there's an improvement in the outlook about improved prices as well as improved supplies. Still looking at Nigerian stories, Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, has blamed measurement inaccuracies as being responsible for around 40% of crude losses in the Nigerian petroleum industry, rather than thefts as is commonly reported. Benga Komolafe, the chief executive of NUPRC, disclosed this during his address at the Petroleum Club quarterly dinner in Lagos. He revealed that the Commission had conducted a forensic audit between January 2020 and November 2022 to determine the accurate volume of crude oil stolen during that period. Komolafe also promised that the Commission plans to address the issue of metering and its errors by licensing original equipment manufacturers, OEMs, as agents to deploy and maintain metering facilities across the country's oil and gas facilities, ensuring transparency in hydrocarbon accounting. That's the outlook within Nigeria amid concerns of theft and crude oil production, yet there's a concern about metering. But amid the worsening Naira crisis, the total amount of currency in circulation in the Nigerian economy has tumbled from 3.3 trillion Naira to 1.54 trillion Naira, according to the Central Bank of Nigeria's report. The shortage of new Naira notes with acute scarcity of old currency has inflicted untold hardship and pain on millions of Nigerians, leaving several people stranded. Specifically, the currency in circulation began falling from 3.3 trillion Naira recorded on October 31, 2022, a few weeks before the CBN began the implementation of the Naira redesign policy, to 1.54 trillion Naira on January 31, 2023. The 53.33 decrease in currency in circulation followed bank customers' huge deposits of old notes ahead of the CBN's February 10, 2023 controversial deadline. Among other things, the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele has said one of the objectives of the Naira redesign, or the design policy, was to mop up currency outside the bank vault, which he put at 2.7 trillion Naira. He said, with such a huge amount outside the banking system, it would be difficult for monetary policy initiatives to impact the economy. That's the Nigerian perspective. Let's move to global economy. And the headline would be Shifting Expectations. Oando senior market analyst Craig Allen discusses how cable has responded to the change in US and UK interest rate expectations over the last couple of weeks, and what he believes the key levels to watch are. Let's hear from Craig.
Sharp, which means we've seen plenty of volatility in the currency pair, but also in interest rate expectations for both. Inflation data in both cases has been released over the course of the last 48 hours, and there's obviously been a sharp focus on that because we are nearing the end of both tightening cycles from the Bank of England and, of course, the Federal Reserve. But we've also had labour market data from the UK and retail sales data from the US. So first, let's take a look at those pieces of data and see what the main takeaways are. We'll start with the US. The inflation data was stubborn, to say the least. We saw inflation still declining, but at a lesser rate than what was expected last month. And also the core inflation in particular was quite stubborn also. And that's going to be a concern for the Federal Reserve. The simple reason being that they have been concerned up until this point about inflation. It's actually the markets that have been a little bit more relaxed on that particular matter. But if we're already seeing stubbornness at these very high levels, then that could potentially indicate that there's much more difficulty to come. Then we have the retail sales data yesterday, and that's going to really pile in on the narrative which formed following the inflation data. The retail sales data showing strong growth in January. Now, we were already expecting quite strong growth at the start of the year. We had cold November and December, which weighed on retail sales, and January was unseasonably warm. So it was expected that we were going to see a strong bounce back, but it was much stronger than expected again. And that's going to feed the narrative again, like I say, that we're still continuing to see strong demand at a time when the labour market is very strong and wage growth is quite strong as well. Add to that the non-farm payroll.
That's the outlook from the US and the UK. But let's move to Africa to see what inflation standings are in Ivory Coast. The annual inflation rate in Ivory Coast eased for the fourth month to 4.8% in January 2023 from 5.1% in the prior month. It was the lowest reading since last May as prices slowed down for food and non-alcoholic beverages in December, mostly due to cheaper vegetables. Prices also increased at a softer pace for housing and utilities, furnishing and household equipment and education. On a monthly basis, consumer prices were flat after increasing by 0.5% in the previous month. Let's have a look at the charts indicating inflation in Ivory Coast, what the state of the economy is in that country. According to the chart, it's been a little here, a little there, upward movement and downward movement. As at April 2022, inflation in Ivory Coast was at 4%, but it swung higher to 5.4% and 5.4% in July 2022, even higher to 6.3% in September, before dropping slightly to 6.2% in October 2022. Since then, it's been on a steady decline. For the past 4 months, at January 2023, inflation had dropped downward to 4% in Ivory Coast amid improved prices from vegetable, speaking good volume in the country. Looking at commodities market, after releasing a record of 100 million barrels in 2022 to combat high gasoline prices, the U.S. federal government is moving to restock its strategic petroleum reserve, with the price of crude oil currently reeling from inflation-related demand drag that welcomes news for futures traders. How will refilling the SPR impact oil markets? Let's have insights from Amanda Townsley, Senior Director, Energy Research and Product Development, CMA Group. Amanda.
Near that, there's a new oil buyer shaking things up for crude oil futures. The U.S. government has plans to start refilling the Strategic Petroleum Reserve at the end of 2023. Unlike with previous purchases, the Department of Energy can now buy oil for future delivery at a fixed price. The administration announced they will do so with a target band of $67 to $72 per barrel. A large buyer at a known price creates the potential for falling oil prices to find stability near that price. Oil futures have been said to have an SPR floor around $70. When oil balances softened in late 2022, CME Group's WTI crude oil futures price for prompt delivery fell sharply by $15 per barrel. WTI for December 2024 delivery, already priced in the low 70s, only fell by $3. This move highlights not only the stability the SPR floor provided to 2024 WTI, but also the volatility it can create for crude oil time spreads. The new buyers?
That was Amanda Townsley of the CME Group regarding the energy market. Let's move straight to the market to see what the outlook is this morning, beginning with the energy market and afterwards the metal market. The energy market this morning has shown some positivity for crude oil, US crude, which is WTI crude. Market is rebounding one way or the other this morning amid a fall 2 weeks ago. Current price $76 per barrel for US crude, upward by just 0.57 point to 0.77% appreciation. For Brent crude, which is Nigeria's price benchmark, it's slightly upward by 0.7, 0.8. Market is moving fast, 0.82 points, a 1% appreciation. Current price $83 per barrel. Let's go to the metal market to see what's happening with the metals, gold, silver, and the rest. Gold price has been slightly upward this morning by 2.88 points, 0.12% appreciation. Current price $1,844 per ounce. For silver, it's similar, slightly upward. Copper slightly upward. For steel, upward. Current price 4,164 Chinese yuan per ton, upward by 9 points, 0.22% appreciation. But lithium is slightly downward by 12,000 points this morning, a negative 2.73% decline. Lithium is used in making batteries for wristwatches. Let's go to the agricultural markets to see what the market is saying this morning for soybeans and the rest. According to the market this morning, current price for soybeans $1,522 per bushel, downward by 4.7 points, a negative 0.31% decline. For wheat, it's slightly upward, a little here, a little there. Lumber, downward also. Palm oil slightly upward by 43 points to 1.04% appreciation. Current price for palm oil, 4,174 Malaysian ringgit per ton. And that's the story around the commodities. Let's quickly go into the market to see what's happening in the forex market. We're moving straight to see the Euro USD market as well as the pound market and the perspective with the Naira this morning. Let's begin with the forex market. The Euro USD market has shown some downward movement in the market. 1.06 US dollar equaling 1 euro for pound is 1.2 US dollar equaling 1 pound. Slight downward this morning, slight downward movement this morning. For the Aussie is gaining slightly against the US dollar. So the market is a little here, a little there, not potentially upward, not potentially downward. Let's also see Naira's perspective this morning, what the situation is with Naira and the state of it, how we're looking at, and the importance of the market. It's back to 460 Naira to 1 US dollar, downward by 0.04 point, a negative 0.01 percentage decline. For the euro, slightly downward against the Naira. It's shown some positivity from Naira. Naira is gaining against the majors. Let's go to the black market to see Naira's performance in the black market this morning. Current price 780 Naira equaling 1 US dollar if you're buying, and if you're selling 765 Naira equaling 1 US dollar. For the pound, it's 935 Naira equaling 1 pound if you're buying, and 923 Naira to 1 pound if you're selling. For the euro to the Naira, it's 805 Naira to 1 euro if you're buying, and if you're selling, it's 790 Naira to 1 euro if you're selling. We'll quickly get to look into what the stock market would be doing this morning, and let's have a brief look at the European stock market, and see what is happening. You've seen the outline from Bitcoin. Current price for Bitcoin is 24,917. It's a little here, a little there, but Bitcoin and crypto market is solid this morning. Let's not dwell on Bitcoin now. Let's go to the stock market and see what the European stock is doing this morning. Stocks in Europe were slightly higher this morning, with the DAX adding nearly 0.1% and the pan-European 0.2%, led by gains in utilities, real estate, and basic materials. A rebound in Chinese shares also helped to lift investors' mood, although the risks of rising interest rates prevented further gains. Traders now await the minutes released on Wednesday, or set to be released on Wednesday, for further clues on the Fed's next step. The Eurozone PMIs and the final CPI, which is Consumer Price Index reading, are also due this week. It would be a good time to look at what's happening in the Nigerian stock market against last week's market performance, and we conclude with that. The stock investment and investors lost 281 billion naira at the end of trading on the floor of a Nigerian exchange limited last week. The all-share index and market capitalization depreciated by 0.96% and 0.95% to close the week, talking about last week, at 53,804.46 points and 29.31 trillion naira respectively. According to the Nigerian Exchange Limited, 36 equities appreciated in price last week. This figure is higher than 24 equities that appreciated in the previous week. 27 equities depreciated in price, lower than 45 in the previous week, while 94 equities remain unchanged, higher than 88 equities recorded the previous week. This gives outline and outlook to what could happen this week. At this point, we draw the curtain on today's edition of Business 360. Thank you for watching. Looking forward to what tomorrow brings. Thank you.